Hey everybody, I'm back again. I've been thinking about metrics. It's kind of been on my mind. I just did a video about forget about the metrics. And I've really been thinking more and more about this whole metrics thing because today, as I was giving an order, I had a couple of them that came through, and they were round robins, and I just decided they weren't a good fit. I had a couple that were like 100 something units, and it had 5 35 count waters. Those things are super heavy, and it was going to an apartment, and I was not having it. Another one came through, it had like 86 units. Shout out to a couple of tries for pointing out the unit count, because I've been taking more consideration into that. I'm like, one order is gonna fill the complete back section of my car, then I'm gonna have to put the other order in the middle row. So I was not having it. So in the past, I would be concerned that rejecting those orders would affect my metrics, and I wouldn't get these different prime orders and things of that nature. But today I'm just like, forget it. I am concerned about me. The actual amount that I was going to earn, I didn't feel like it was commensurate with the amount of work that was going to be involved with those orders. And I decided to basically just let them time out and wait for an order that I found acceptable. So I let 2 go through that were like really large. And then I got one that was like, one bag with maybe 3 items in it. Oh, and someone commented asking the item count number. So the bag is counted as an item apparently. So I decided to go ahead and take that order because it was like $10, but only had a couple items and it was relatively close. So yeah, that was acceptable for me. So I started thinking, were these metrics really put in place as an indicator of how well you're doing as a delivery driver? Or were they put in place as some form of psychological manipulation? So I have a background in psychology, and I don't know if you might be familiar with the term reinforcement. So reward and punishments. Reward, you do something, someone does something, you apply something positive, something desirable. In the other case, somebody does something and you apply something negative, and that is supposed to reduce the negative behavior. On the other hand, the rewards are supposed to increase those desired behaviors. So in effect, when you have these metrics in place, you got, you did the right thing or whatever, and you got your reward, your metrics went up. And on the other hand, you didn't do what you were supposed to do, and your metrics went down, and you felt punished by that. And I can say I was sucked in on that cycle, that reward punishment cycle. And I finally, broke myself free because, and I think this is where Walmart Spark, they kind of screwed themselves, because they could have kept me in that loop if they hadn't changed the way their metrics were being measured. So they went from applying metrics to directly your behavior. So there was a direct correlation between what you did and how the metrics were affected. For example, if you were late, if you canceled an order, if you didn't bring something that the customer had ordered. For example, there was a time where there was a bag left in my car and I didn't see it till much later. So there was a direct relationship between your actions and the outcome, which is where reinforcement comes in. There has to be a connection, otherwise you don't get the manipulation, if you will, of the individual. So when Walmart Spark started changing their metrics, the way that they were measured, and there wasn't really a direct connection between what you did and the outcome, you started to shake yourself from that mental manipulation. So what they were doing, like so I had to think back on this. So before, your metrics were primarily tied to the round robin orders. So you were given a certain amount of time to decide if you wanted to order. If you wanted it, you selected in that choice. If you didn't, it went on to the next person. And those were the ones that affected your metrics. Then they started including these ASAP orders, which basically just pops up on everybody's screen, and they started including those in their metrics. So if you didn't accept those also counted against you. If they timed out, that counted against you. So at that point, I'm like, screw it, because no matter what I do, I am going to have a negative mark on my metrics. And that's how I broke out of that cycle of psychological manipulation. When I made that phone call about my metrics, they're like, oh, well, none of that matters anymore. I mean, basically all orders will affect your metrics, and your metrics doesn't affect the orders you get. So at that point, I'm thinking, okay, so what the heck is the point of the metrics then? So all along, this was pretty much just a psychological manipulation to get you to take these some crappy orders sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, the 100-something units, 5 big old waters that you have to carry or somehow deliver to the person's home. And if you're in an apartment with stairs and whatnot, it's a nightmare. They do give you these additional funds, if you will, for certain deliveries. But in my opinion, 50 cents additional for carrying 5 40-pound packs of water to an apartment, which may or may not be easily accessible, in addition to all of the other items that they have. Yeah, I didn't find that to be acceptable. So now, I know I'm kind of late to the game. I'm no longer desperate. I used to be desperate for the orders. I haven't really been delivering because of, what's been going on on my personal side. I haven't really been able to get out here full time. So when I come back, oftentimes I will go ahead and take whatever they give me. But now I'm out of that psychological manipulation. I'm no longer desperate or coming off as desperate for these orders, and being picky. If the metrics don't match up, then I haven't even looked at what my metrics are. I guess I will check to see what they are after this video, but they may be horrendous because I haven't been accepting the orders like I had in the past. But I said all that to say that the way this gig economy is now becoming like a gamification system, you have to find a way to keep yourself from being sucked into the mental manipulation of the reward punishment paradigm that these metrics seem to be setting up. So for the new people, just know that there is a psychological aspect to the whole metrics reward punishment paradigm. I have options. I am now multi-apping, so I do have the Amazon Flex option, even though at this point I really haven't had many offers that are in my desired time frame. Again, I'm not going out at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, but there are options. If that doesn't work out, I can find something else, maybe Instacart or DoorDash, if that's an option, or even Uber Eats. I heard that you can separate Uber Eats from like the actual driving of passengers. So there are options. So even if I have to go back into the schools, that's always an option. I can probably go back as a contract worker, but yeah, push comes to shove, I have options, and I'm not going to be allowing myself to be psychologically manipulated into accepting extremely poor offers or extremely low offers. And I had heard someone else mention, like treating us like slaves. I think that was in someone's comment, treating us like slaves. I am not going to be carrying all of those items for pennies. It just doesn't make sense. I'm not the type of person who is like on the whole tip culture, where you expect a tip. But sometimes when you are expecting a significant amount of work for someone that is above and beyond the call of duty and the amount that they are willing to give as a base, yeah, you kind of would think a tip would be nice. But yeah, I don't go in expect, oh, no tip, no, I'm not going to pick up this order. That's not the mindset that I have. Sometimes people give me cash tips. So you can't necessarily say, oh, if they don't put the tip on the app, then you're not going to get a tip. The tip is gravy, but I am looking at the baseline. I am looking at the amount of work that is going to be required for this particular order. Not necessarily just the miles, because you can do $1 per mile, but then if you get there and you have, 300 pounds of groceries, it just doesn't add up. So yeah, that's my rant. Just beware of the psychological manipulation. Check yourself. Why are you accepting this particular order? Are you feeling desperate? Is it because it is actually an acceptable order? Just take a second to think before you just automatically click accept. That way you can at least give yourself a little bit of space between what you're having to do in terms of the work, and then yourself, and keeping yourself psychologically buffered, if you will. So that's my 2 cents on the whole psychological aspect of being a delivery driver. Let me know if you feel like you had been psychologically manipulated. Let me know in the comments below. I just want to get an idea for if this is something that other people have felt. Not just, oh, it's low pay, but feeling like you have been manipulated in this process. All right, so I will see you all in the next one. You guys make sure that you're keeping yourselves alert while you're out here, because times are really starting to get kind of crazy. So keep yourself alert, keep yourself prayed up, and I will see you in the next one.